Hey, so it's been a minute. Uh, I know I haven't uploaded a video in about like 1 month now, and some of you may have saw this post I made on my community, like saying I'm taking a break, and I had my first ever panic attack. And you know, I thought about this, and I really shouldn't keep this away from the internet. So I'm gonna explain the story. So it all started Saturday, May 2nd of this year. So it was nighttime, and I was like cleaning my ear out with like a Q-tip, like those things you use for usually your ear, which a lot of people don't recommend it, and which now I recommend not to, because what I'm about to explain is seriously, you do not want to end up like me. I was cleaning my right ear with a Q-tip, and I remember like pushing I remember like just doing this with like the Q-tip, trying to do the motion I did. I was doing this with the Q-tip and went deep into my ear, I think a little too much, and pushed earwax in deep, and pretty much the hearing on this ear was pretty much just gone entirely, and felt like I went deaf on the right ear, and that's what it hit. I remember immediately texting my parents about it, saying I'm deaf on my right ear, like here's a screenshot. This is what I said. It's kind of something heartbreaking. But yeah, and after that, my mom responded immediately, and she ran up the stairs, and by the time I was gonna run down the stairs, I was at like the hallway, or like kind of this way, because you have to like make a left turn, or right turn, I'm sorry, to after you go up my stairs to get to my room, and after that it's a left turn. So by the time I made it to that hallway, me and my mom like ran into each other, and I was crying and struggling to breathe. I remember like telling her, like saying I can't breathe, and it was terrifying. I like remember like going down the stairs with my dad, and my dad was just confused on what was going on, because I texted my mom only about it, and so my dad was confused what was going on, and I explained what happened, and immediately they ran like to go get something, and they like put it in my ear and like squirted something. I can't remember what it's called, but it was something to usually clean out your ear, and usually if stuff came out, then that's when you knew it was like, I don't know, but so they did that and nothing came out, because I think the first time they were trying to see what was see what was going on, they were like using their phone light to look in my ear, which I remember at church that Sunday, someone told us like you can't be using a phone to see what's in there, and then on Monday we finally went to the doctors, and I was nervous to go to the doctor because I thought it was over for me. I thought I lost my hearing on my right ear entirely. I remember I kept praying like those 2 nights to the Lord for my hearing to not have been permanently lost, because it was terrifying. But back to the night of my panic attack. So the panic attack like lasted for like 20 to 30 minutes, I say. And I remember like also reaching out to several of my friends and like DMing them on Discord saying, hey, I'm really not okay now. I really need someone to talk to. And it was just horrible. And I even remember texting my VR mom about it, like telling her I had my first ever panic attack, which she was like, "Oh shit, what caused it?" And I explained. And pretty much she brought up her dad, who, was a doctor, which he could probably explain what was going on. And I can't remember exactly the full messages, but I think she did remember, like, it was a huge blockage, something like that. But she was correct. It was just a huge, like, a blockage. So, yeah. 2 days later, after the panic attack on Monday, May 4th, which, I completely forgot it was Star Wars Day that day. Because I thought it was over. And thankfully, when they did clean out my ear, they squirted, they put something in my ear that's kind of like a water gun, and they sprayed water in it, and some earwax came out, and I could hear perfectly fine again. But there was a side effect, because I heard way better than I used to ever in my life, which right now it kind of feels like the stuff is happening all over again, even though it's really not, because I still am recovering from the infection, because they looked at my ear and turns out it wasn't a bursted eardrum, thankfully, and it was just an infection. And so yeah, they cleaned my ear out, and they gave me some pills to take and some water, like drops to drop in this ear, like twice a day, like every 12 hours, I think, if I remember correctly. So one in the morning and one before I went to bed. And so it's pretty much yeah. And there was side effects after that again, because again, I heard like perfectly, very, very well, like that I never have on my right ear. Probably because I couldn't hear well on my right ear, and I just didn't know about it until finally I got it cleaned out. And pretty much I was going crazy that whole entire day, the whole entire Monday, because felt like everything was just repeating again. And I remember almost I remember just going like crazy and just wanted to cry, because it was just very terrifying, because my brain was hurting, and I felt like I wasn't fully aware what's going on around me, which I kind of did a little bit, but I'm just very grateful that, it wasn't a bursted eardrum, or I didn't actually lose my hearing entirely. This is where the Jello stuff gets worse. So, I did mention I'd take a break on this channel, but my second channel, I kept exposing Jello for the cyber stalking and all that stuff, because he's still like claiming that I'm impersonating him and all that stuff. There was evidence I proved that it was Jello, because he did post a video with his voice in it, and me remembering how Jello's voice actually sounds like. After that, I thought things went peaceful, until one morning I woke up and came across a Discord message from one of my friends, which this will also be shown on the screenshot right here. Basically, Jello made something terrible out of my OC. Like, this also affected my mental health, which I also reached out to several of my friends, like letting them know, like saying, hey, if I were to VC you without asking, it's because I'm really not okay, or I need someone to reach out to. And pretty much everyone has been very kind and supportive, and Jello also keeps continuing to claim I'm a 47 or 49-year-old, which obviously isn't true, because, you know, there's videos of me from 2 years ago that, is when my voice was high, because, you know, back then I was 14 and I had a very high pitched voice. He also makes videos of other people's faces in it and claim it's my real identity, which that also has been exposed on my second channel. And he also, like, made threats with my parents' emails and all that stuff, which that also has been exposed on my community tab. And also, he did actually was on an alt account on that same exact post he made of that terrible art out of my OC. He was on an alt account on the YouTube post version and said this, which quite literally is being straight up inconsiderate, because there are people out there, you know, who actually died and commit suicide. And someone who is suicidal, I took this as an offense, because, you know, I gotta be honest, I can't really keep this away from the internet now. Because, you know, back when I was younger, I nearly attempted suicide. And I regret it so much. I remember, like, reaching out to several of my friends and such, and pretty much they told me everything would be okay, and I kept talking to several of them, like, every day. And soon those thoughts went away. Which that was 2 years ago, by the way, back in 2024. Now, you know, I had severe depression, which a lot of you probably knew, because, you know, I made videos about it, for most of it. And sorry if I'm sniffling a lot. If you're ever like me, so if you're ever like this, or just really going through a tough time, please remember, it's always okay to reach out to someone. Don't be like me. As for Jelif, I'm not gonna let him win, because all he wants is just for just him to delete my social media accounts. Because, in fact, he was on another alt account, like, saying the Hatsune Miku community demands you demands you delete your channel. Excuse me. And Krypton demands you remove all Hatsune Miku content related to your channel, which, you know, obviously, I'm not going to do that, because, you know, I know it's Jelif behind it all. And he's pretty much been going since, like, December. And the far worst part, I say, is him, like, accusing me of faking my grandfather's death and just, like, making this terrible art. Like, generally, I can't with this guy. And he also says I can go kill myself and fuck myself, which isn't okay either. He also abuses the R slur word, which is being straight up disrespectful and inconsiderate to the disabled community, which I do also take offense to, because, you know, I do have autism and ADHD. I think I mentioned that in a video before. If not, then yeah, it's the first time you're hearing this. I do have autism and ADHD, and pretty much every time when I just say it's Jelif, he just declines it. He's just all like, who's Jelif? Who's Jelif? Which we all know he cannot decline, because, especially for me, because, you know, I remember how his voice sounds like. And also, he steals videos and claims I'm the one who's stealing videos and everything I make is unoriginal. Also, he tries to expose stuff that was from also 2 years ago, which won't work whatsoever. And he's also doxing and all that stuff, leaking my last name, and claims that just because he has my mom's YouTube channel means it doesn't count as doxing. Which I literally told him not to do it, and he still did it anyway. So that does in fact count as doxing, yet he declines it every time. And pretty much, I just wanted to talk about, like, where I've been and why I haven't been uploading. I am on the, another build of Rec Room. I'm on the 2020 build. And I kind of did recreate my avatar on here, if you can tell, but except I don't have the teal here. But yeah, pretty much that's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to let everyone know what I've been actually going through behind all the scenes and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you guys.